Hey guys, we're live. Good evening. Jake Robinson here with Amazon Hangouts Live, and I've got Saj Jalani. How do you say your last name? Jalani. Saj
Yeah,
Jalani. I
made
never
it.
have to. I never have to say your name. I just have to read it on Facebook. So Saj is in the house. He was one of my previous guests. He's going to be my co-host tonight. So we're doing this ad hoc open mic. You're the guest. Anybody has a question, it's going to be about you guys. Uh, well, as you file in here, tell us where you're from. Ruthie's from Chattanooga. Ruthie, you're just right down the road. I'm in Murfreesboro. We're like 2 hours away. And then Saj is on the other side of the planet. Dana from Southern Cal. And we may have a small group. We only have like 104 people that registered for this. And, guys, I did a poll about 3 webinars ago and said, hey, if we ever have a week where I don't nail down a guest, instead of just skipping that week and not doing anything, would you guys like to have an open mic Q&A session? Everybody said, yeah, 100% said, yeah. What's funny is that I sent this thing out to the list of people that have come to our webinars, and tons of people opened the email and looked at it, but only a handful of people clicked. So maybe all you guys have all the questions. All those people think they already have all the answers, and that's when you're headed down the toilet bowl, when you're taking a victory lap with your finger up, you're number one, you're circling the ring, you're actually circling the toilet bowl because you're on your way down if you think you know it all. I can always learn something. Heather's from Toledo, Ohio, and Sean from Panama City, Florida, Dan from South Australia. All right. We got some Aussies in the house. Pierre Michael. Is it Pierre Michael? Or Pierre, how do you say that? Long Island, New York.
Michelle. Mike, Michael, I don't know.
Zuma
You got,
from
UK people. Jason, Zach is there. Jason's here. So you've got a couple of UK guys as well.
Yeah, Zach is from the UK. He's from our UK group, right? Okay. So we are going to just open this thing up for anybody that wants to question. Now, if any of you guys have, if you registered with a Gmail address and you'd like to come in the room with me and Saj, you can do that. You just have to have at least a mic. You don't have to have a camera, but a camera and a mic would be probably better. But you can, somewhere on the head, there's a little hand that you can click on to request to be a speaker. And if you do that, I'll see you raise your hand and I'll click on it and bring you in the room. I'll warn you and let you know, hey, MD from Chicago, you want to come in the room? I'm about to bring you in the room, and it'll send you a little link invitation, and then I guess you click on it. I've never been invited, so I don't even know what it looks like. I guess a link shows up and it lets you in the room.
I think someone's already requesting.
Yeah, let me see that. Steve and Yusef. So Yusef, I'm going to bring you on if you want to come in and say hello. And if you just, if you don't have a question, if you have a best practice, that's another thing. If you guys have some great ideas and say, I don't know why anybody doesn't, talk about this, because this is a good idea and it works for me. Yeah, if you got best practices, sure, do that. So we can discuss it. And let's say I got Al from Central Valley, California saying hello. Don from Tampa. Tom from Tampa. We got 2 Tampa guys, 2 Tampa people. See my survey question. Sure, Tom, I sure will. Would you like to come in the room? I mean, maybe you're the one that said you don't want. Somebody on the survey question said, no, don't bring me on board and ask me to reveal my product. We'd never do that. Okay.
I haven't done that.
Nobody's done that. Yeah. So
I've done one of my products though. Yeah, Jason probably knows what my first item is.
Okay, it was Lady K who said, I would be delighted to join in a discussion chat session, but not sure I want to be interviewed if that means revealing my products. I'm too vulnerable right now and can't afford for someone with deeper pockets to come in and blow me out. We would never do that, Lady K. That's kind of the, by the way, that's kind of the ethic in the industry. Is it's kind of like asking somebody their age or asking how much money they make. They'll be willing to tell you those 2 things because they're not going to tell you what product they're selling because, yeah, oh, I sell silicone gloves. Whoever said that really messed up because now everybody sells silicone gloves. Steve from Texas says hello. Sarah's in Louisville, right up the street from me. And Papa John's headquarters. Another guy in the witness protection program, I see LOL, and then Jason, HDMI. What does that mean? Oh, is that one of the products? That's your product, isn't it? Yeah, that probably is really your product. Do you really do? You probably really do sell HDMI, but
I must have actually talked about my product sometimes, but people might think that that's not my product. That's why I'm talking about it. So that's the trick.
So to make it think it's your product. Yeah. So Youssef, you're muted, dude. Come on and say hello. I don't see a camera. You must have a radio voice.
Or why it was on then? It's just disappeared. Probably too dark.
Say hello, Youssef. Unmute yourself, brother. Yeah, Ruthie, or your weight. Yeah, I think women would rather give their weight than talk about their actual product. Tom says, I don't have a micro camera, was asking about being able to bust through Alibaba supplier wall and get small MOQ and testing products. Let me go here and look at your question. We'll just ask your question first, Tom. It's a big one. Okay, you say let me just put the question in the question box so everybody can see it.
I marked it as question.
This is a huge one right here. Okay. It says, I'm an experienced 15-year veteran full-time seller on both eBay and Amazon FBA. I've been trying to make a transition to importing and private label, and I've seen every one of Jake's amazing webinars. You definitely get kudos for that compliment. Studied some of the ASM and other courses and spent over the last 10 months doing that. I have tried to follow the model of many of the guests here and source from AliExpress and Alibaba. I have found 0 products that I can source from AliExpress that make any sense price-wise in small quantities. Most products I'm looking for, I can't even find on AliExpress at all. Seem to find my Alibaba suppliers that will send me small amounts of product for sales testing purposes. I'm well-funded but don't feel comfortable ordering high MOQs to start out with. What am I doing wrong? Any suggestions? Am I thinking of finding a buying agent as I find that China sourcing routine exhausting? First of all, what do you consider a high MOQ, Tom, or what would you consider a something? I mean, here's what I would recommend right off the bat is instead of saying, oh, they want 800 is their MOQ, I would figure out how much money can you spend. If it's $2,000 and the product's $5 a pop, well then you can order 400 products. On the other hand, if they're $10 a piece, then you're going to have to get your MOQ down to 200 so that you can keep spending $2,000 and not spend more money. So are you gauging it based on money out of pocket or just a sheer number? And please give us that answer. Go ahead, Saj.
Do you know who asked that question? We don't have to.
Did you ask that question? Tom.
No, who asked that question?
Tom
okay.
did.
Okay. Yeah, I think the other bit is, I mean, I personally, that's what I've said in my class as well, that sometimes some people who teach that you can start sourcing some of the products, to start with AliExpress, but that doesn't happen with all the kind of product categories. In some product categories, you'll find some of the products that you could keep buying from AliExpress to test, but as Tom says, that happens sometimes. I've seen some of the categories that they are quite expensive, and forget about making money. I think it would be even hard to break even. Sometimes you might find your categories, if you are researching certain products, that there are products onto AliExpress that you could kind of source, probably break even, make a little bit of money, but it doesn't happen always. So it depends on what your category is. The other bit is also don't miss out on this thing that sometimes when you're searching for your products on Alibaba and you're like screening through all these suppliers, sometimes you'll see that some of the suppliers says, okay, I'm going to take only 3,000 as an MOQ, but when you actually contact them, it's going to be a completely different story, because remember, guys, that most of these kind of suppliers or manufacturers or traders or exporters, whatever you want to call them, have created like thousands and thousands of listings. And even if you have an existing supplier, just try and see on their catalog how many times they kind of duplicate each listings. So it's quite possible sometimes that they haven't changed. I'll give you an example. I was thinking about product 3 very recently, and after the Amazon lending, I thought, let me just go ahead and try and get samples for that. And I had some other suppliers I had in my mind, so I just kind of contacted them. And that particular product is not even my niche, so it's a completely different product. Now, initially they had put down, because I didn't even contact them, because the price that they had mentioned was between $25 to I think $30 or something like that. When I contacted them, the current price was $16. So it's quite possible that they haven't kind of updated their listings, whether it's the actual pictures of the product, whether it's the price of the product, whether it's the MOP of the product. You have to keep contacting them. Sometimes you'll find that get US 3000.
Hey, you guys that are coming into the room, if you don't mind muting your mics until you have something to say, because we're hearing some background noise. If you don't mind, you can go up the top and hit the second little button there that mutes your microphone. Yusef and Baker Part.
Okay, so is that the question from the same Tom who's actually leaving messages now in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Tom, first of all, you don't even need like 20K to start off with. Yes, if you got money, that's much better because you can obviously buy in better quantities and stuff like that. And I'm actually kind of surprised. Am I actually reading correct that you've actually done ASM and some other courses as well?
No, I think he said he studied ASM people, not necessarily went through the course.
Okay. That's why I was wondering, because he's gone through so many courses, he's gonna get definitely confused because everyone's got different techniques to launch their product and research their products. I think the best thing what I found personally, I mean, if you guys are not someone like me who had a particular niche or product in mind, then Jungle Scout is kind of fantastic. I mean, I don't know why I keep saying that, but that's like one product I've come across. I haven't really tested, all the other products because I was more kind of manual guy. I always find out what I wanted to sell, and I've never researched like anything. How many sales I've done, like manual methods like 999. But with Jungle Scout, it makes it so much easier. I had someone contact me from another group. I think 2 days back. It was like kind of looking for one of the products, and then even before he actually told me what kind of product it is, and then we just spoke on like Facebook Messenger for like 5-10 minutes, and we just found out you can't do that because there's so many restrictions, because it was a product where you need like a lot of like liability insurance and stuff like that, and it was a tough product. So you have to kind of go after certain product and then just keep contacting as many suppliers as you want. And one thing is, if you are unable to find a supplier who's not able to do like smaller quantities, that means most probably you are looking at suppliers or gold suppliers who are like 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years. Look out for someone in the same niche who's only like 1 year gold supplier, because they're going to be more flexible with your minimum order quantities. And I've literally like had that experience all the time. When you go for a smaller supplier, they are as hungry as you because they've just probably started exporting and stuff like that. So they would be more comfortable to kind of do low MOQs for your products. He also talked about payments. If you're scared about TT, then just go via trade assurance. It's the same thing like PayPal or escrow, because you get protected from Alibaba at every step. You could do kind of inspection service as well. If you want to listen, try and listen to my podcast, last episode, number 11. I've talked about trade assurance for a lot, like kind of 30 to 40 minutes about it.
Yeah, so you're just going to probably, when you're looking for private label, don't get discouraged that you've got to spend a lot of time, because that generally is where the work is on the front end. It's easy to go into, a Target and go to the clearance aisle and pick some products and do some RA and flip it and make some money, but trying to find a product that you can feel good about, that is in demand, but not too much competition to make it where you get lost in the shuffle, and then find there's got to be suppliers out there. Part of the issue might be the keywords that you're using to search for something on Alibaba. So if I go and look for a bento box, which is a kid's 2 or 3 compartment plastic food container, that's one word for it. And then, a 2 compartment food container is another word for it, or a plastic storage container is another word for it. And it may not always show up with the keyword that you put in there. So that might be an issue too. So I wouldn't be. I mean, I haven't found too many times where I couldn't find the item on Alibaba. But I tell you this: if you can't find it on Alibaba, there might be a chance that that item is just not selling. Because if you can't find somebody selling it from China, there's probably nobody buying it. Would you agree with that? Unless it's something totally different, like a textile.
Yeah, I can actually kind of you like hit bullseye because I was just doing like some of the lessons in my course module, and I was preparing some of the videos, and I came across like one product randomly, which was like when I researched on Amazon.com, it came up as egg cutter. I typed the same keyword in Alibaba and I wasn't getting the same results, so I typed egg cracker and I got the products that I was looking out for, which looks exactly the same as Amazon. So sometimes it's your keywords as well, as you just rightly said.
Okay. So Vic, his podcast is Anybody Can Do It podcast. ABCDI. Okay. Why don't you put your link in there to the podcast? You got a link to it. Alan is asking, hey Jake, is this Alan Basinger? I don't know if it's Alan Basinger that I'm thinking about. Hey Jake, how's your first launch coming along? Is it successful yet? Here's what I did, guys. I think I let it slip at some point that I'm trying to sell my house. I bought another house. I've got 2 houses now with 2 house notes and 2 electric bills and 2 water bills. My lots of other stuff happening, but I did partner up with James Amazio in that we are working on a website that's going to be an educational website for information and fact. There's a little hint about what the name of it is. So anyway, but James had several products. One of the things that happened to James is he went from 0 to 50,000 like in lickety split, like 8 months, and then his account got suspended, and he never could figure out what caused it to suspend, and he kept trying to fix things. Of course, Amazon won't tell you when you screw up what you actually did. They just let you wallow around in the blood trying to figure out why you're wounded. And so he finally just took all his listings off, and that was the only way he could get his account unsuspended, was like everything off. So one of his products that he had was kind of an oversized product that he had to wrestle with and had to repackage, and it was a big pain in the butt. But I said, hey man, I'll take a shot at it, because I knew it was selling. So I actually bought the last 15 items that he had, and he hadn't been selling any of those things for a while, so I just relisted them on his listing, and they sold out like 4 days. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm in negotiation right now with a supplier to get the exact same product shipped to me, but I'm changing the packaging, because he would have it shipped in bulk in a big box and have to take all these parts and put them together and put not a lot of parts, but he'd have to put them together, rebox them and refold the boxes and put labels on it. I'm just going to have them do it all in China and blister pack it. So that's where I'm at, Alan. I'm kind of excited about getting that thing going, because I just don't spend a lot of time looking for products. I've got other fish to fry. I can barely keep this weekly webinar going, because it takes a little bit of time to do the research and find a guest and vet them and trying to get them scheduled and that sort of thing, on top of trying to sell a house and on top of dealing with contractors on a new house, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just happy that kind of fell in my lap. Once I get this house sold, I'll have more time, and once we get our website launched, then I'll have a little bit. Can I rent your house? Sure you can, Alan. I've been thinking about that. If I can't sell this puppy, I'm gonna be renting it. So, all right. So let's say hello to the people that popped in the room here. Yusuf, you were the first one that came in. What's going on in your world?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jake and Saj, for having us today. So my question is around product ranking. I've got some new products. How do I increase product ranking? That's question one. And my second question is that I had a product, it was doing really well, and then I ran out of stock, and it took me about 6 weeks to restock the item, and now it's not doing so well. It's very slow. I'll get like one order every 4 days, when before I was getting like 12 orders in a day. So what I've heard is that if it stays out of stock, the product ranking usually goes down. So I'm trying to, you guys are the experts. So I'm looking for advice over here.
The first thing I'm going to ask you is, do you do pay-per-click? By the way, I like the way you're like giving us a tour of your house. What do you got? You got like a selfie stick or something, man?
No, it's just my hand.
So, do you do pay-per-click?
I do, yes.
Okay. So I would imagine that, yeah, when you run out of stock, you're going to lose your ranking immediately, because all the BSR is a snapshot of where you rank right now. And if your sales go down, your ranking is going to go down. And if you don't have stock in there. On the other hand, I've also heard that if you have good sales, it typically, when you restock, Amazon doesn't necessarily penalize you on that. Usually you pick back up where you left off. There's a possibility, though, that you had some new competitors come on the scene, and they're not out of stock. It may be. Have you checked to see if there's any new sellers that are selling against you?
It's actually my own import, so I'm the only one selling the product.
Well, now that is the definition of private label, where it's the only, if you have a selfie stick with your logo on it in a different color, but I could have another selfie stick that's slightly different than yours, but we're still both have two selfie sticks. You can't have. I'm pretty sure you're not the only item in your category. If that's so.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean by competition. Do you have other people that have moved in, and maybe maybe their sales have surged past yours, and you're going to have to fight to get back up there? Anybody want to address this, Saj, or anybody else on the line here?
Actually, can I ask you, when you said that you were making 12 sales, did that happen only after you launched your product with giveaways and stuff like that?
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, when I launched the product, it happened about 2 weeks after. I was doing some pay-per-click, and then pay-per-click died down, but the sales were up.
Yeah, as in, did you give away a lot of products for reviews, with these third-party services, giving out your products at low cost and stuff like that?
I did Fiverr for reviews.
Okay, but so you didn't actually physically give away your products?
No, I didn't. I didn't. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce in here and say, Saj, that I would not recommend going to Fiverr and getting reviews. I think you're just buying fake reviews yourself. You might be getting penalized for that. Fiverr is not the place. You go to a Fiverr to one person and say, I'm going to get you 100 reviews or 50 or 10 reviews. They got to be fake, because they didn't order your product. I guarantee you they didn't order your product.
Right.
So you might have shot yourself in the foot, and it may be that Amazon has figured that out, that these reviews that you're getting are not authentic.
It was one review, and then the other reviews that I got were authentic, from customers, and that one review was during the start of the product launch when I.
Okay, so you paid a Fiverr person, and they actually left the review for you. I still wouldn't do that, because you are literally violating TOS when you say, I'll pay you, Fiverr person. Now, if you go to Bridget Williams, top quality reviewers, you're going to pay her, but you're not paying her to get reviews. You're paying her to distribute your codes and manage the process of making sure that people use the code and come back and leave a review and that sort of thing. But she can't control if they actually do leave a review. She can just punish them if they don't, and not let them have future discounts, that sort of thing. So again, I would avoid Fiverr like that, because it may be that they may know this person's a Fiverr person, because they may see this person doing reviews all over the place, and Amazon's pretty good at sussing stuff out like that. They can tell when your friend that lives across town and you guys are both Facebook buddies, and the next thing you know, they're taking their review off because it's a close friend.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah,
So
I think.
what's the recommendation to get the product rankings up? Besides, pay per click, which is, you know, any other hacks to it?
How many reviews have you got, like, as a count? How many reviews have you got?
Right now I have 3.
3. Okay, so that's first of all, that's the reason why your PPC is not that effective. Second thing, at the moment, all the sales are down. So say, for example, if I usually do about 300 to like 350 sales, I'm doing now 150, 200 sales. So unless your product is something which specifically people buy in these particular months, you will see that people are clicking, but they're not buying. That's why I had to stop some of my PPC as well. The other thing is, because I can't go through the whole thing, otherwise it would take another half an hour, 45 minutes. But I did an interview on one of the podcasts, I think about last week, and it just went live 2 or 3 days back. It's called Seller Dojo Podcast. It's the podcast owned by AMZ-HOC. So people who actually own AMZ-HOC software, they sponsor that particular podcast, and I was a guest interview on that particular, and I did talk about how you launch. So the first thing is, if you have enough budget to give out some of your products, the first thing you do is you look out for Amazon top 1,000 reviewers. If you want, you can find the link on my blog as well. Otherwise, you can just Google it. It always comes up depending on which marketplace you are. And then if you don't have AmaSuite and stuff like that, waste a little bit of your manual time. Those top 10,000 reviewers would actually are allowed by Amazon to leave reviews, so you can give them free products. They don't even have to buy your products, and it's so nice because they can actually write exactly what their interest is. So someone would say that they like to review gadget accessories. Someone would say they like to kind of review pets and home and garden products and stuff like that. So you pick up at least 5-10 of those who prefer to write and test review or products in your category, because when you give out to your products to these people, they will write like a proper descriptive reviews because they are keen to kind of test that kind of products, and they would probably, you can ask them to do a video review as well, but if they don't, they will make reviews like probably like 20, 30, 40 lines. They will write everything what they like about the product, and if they don't like something, they will contact you. Obviously, don't ask them to give you a 5-star review because they're not authorized that way. But once you have reviews from top 10,000 reviewers, the badge would show. So once they leave you a review, their reviews would usually rank up higher. So it would always stay on top, and then people keep clicking, helpful words as yes. When a customer a page where you have got reviews from these top 1,000 reviewers, it kind of builds confidence, because at the end of the day, look, everyone who shops on Amazon, they know if they don't like the product, they are well protected by Amazon. They can return the product and things like that. If you don't respond, they've got A to Z guarantee or whatever. So they are protected, but they want some kind of, when you go out and shop, normally when any one of us go out and shop in a mall or anything, we usually take one person along with us because we need that emotional confirmation in mind. So you know that you're always going to buy what you like. So if you go with your wife and she says, oh, these shoes are no good, sometimes you still want to buy that. But you always want a second person to kind of say, yeah, what you picked up is good. It's just like an emotional, mind thing of human. The same goes when you got top 1,000 reviewers badge reviewing your products, it creates confidence. And then when you have at least 10, 15, 20 reviews, depending on how many your competitors have, then they will have confidence to buy your product. So say if I go in today launch my selfie stick, and I've got 3 reviews, and there are other selfie stick sellers who've got 1,000 reviews, even though my selfie stick looked a bit better, they're always going to go with that because they think someone who's got 3 reviews and everyone knows now that there are some fake reviews and things like that. People know about these things now up to some extent. But when you got 50, 100,000 reviews, people know that all can't be fake. But for you to start off with top 1,000 reviewers, some of the reviews from there, and then kicking your PPC. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of money on PPC.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much. Valuable advice. Thank you.
And what I would also, Yusef, what I might consider doing is, and I was answering some questions in chat, so Sage might have said this too, is you do have friends that are around the country or in another country or whatever. I mean, I don't know where you ship. Are you in the U.S. or?
Yes, U.S.
Okay, so you got college buddies, you got people that you know that are living in other cities now. I would just call them up or send an email and say, hey, look, I've got this product that I'm trying to sell on Amazon. I need a review. If I sent you a code or discount, would you review it for me? And I'm sure you can find 10 or 25 people like that that'll do it that are not necessarily close friends right around you that Amazon may take those reviews off in the future. But yeah, you could do that. And you don't have to do them all at one time. Just keep doing it on a regular basis.
Is that allowed by Amazon though? If you send a product for free to...
Yeah, you can. Here's what you got to do. If anybody, I review products off the Top Quality Review all the time. I just reviewed 2 essential oil diffusers and a Bluetooth speaker for my shower. So I get a code for it, and it's a discounted. So maybe the product is selling for $39 on Amazon, but I pay $4.99 with the discount code, and then I give over a review. But in my review, whether it's a video review or a written review, somewhere in the review, I have to say, I was offered a discount or I was offered this product for free in exchange for an honest review. Okay. Now, normally speaking, those people are not going to give you a bad review, but I've seen it happen, and then I would imagine that some people, if you had a crappy product that didn't work, that you'd probably find that they wouldn't even review it. They would just say, I tried your product and it doesn't work. I just need to let you know that, they may not even leave a review. But you cannot ask them to leave you a good review. You have to ask them to leave an honest review. And then Amazon, and this is to somebody else's question here, Vic, which she says, I just read on a Facebook post in one of my groups, the seller got suspended because Amazon claimed her reviews were paid for. However, the seller said that she ran a $1 promotion several months ago. This is unnerving that all have reviews and that have come in from almost free review promotions and groups. It may be because they did not leave that disclaimer. Yeah. And Amazon is coming in and saying, hey, you got about 50 of these reviews where you gave away products, and we can tell that you gave them away. They know what you gave. They know if you used a discount code or not. I mean, they allow it, right? So they do have a discount code. They do allow it. They allow you to give away for free if you want to. The buyer just has to explain, the reviewer, that, hey, I got this for a discount and I'm giving an honest review. As long as they do that, I don't think you're having any problem with Amazon taking your reviews off Vic. And so you have to scrap for it yourself and get your friends and family members that are not necessarily in your own household or your own IP address, and just say, hey, if I send you this product, or if I send you a discount. A buddy of mine just sent me a link to his product, and it was like 99% off. So I paid basically $4 or $5 for a $40 product or whatever it was. So yeah, you can get people to do that for you. You can't require that they give you a good review, but come on, your friends are not going to backstab you, I don't think.
Yeah. So it could be the promotion can be for free as well, right? It doesn't need to be.
It can be. Sure. I mean, I don't know that I would go for free. I mean, people look. If you have a $40 product, if you got a Bluetooth shower speaker and you're selling it,
it's a low. It's like $10. My cost is obviously it's like $4. So I can sacrifice that.
Okay, if you can afford to do that, I'm just saying, yeah. So you got a product that's hard to get a margin on. Then, I mean, you got some.
I sell it for my cost is around $3. I sell it for around 15.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But you could also do you can do a promo where you can say, here's this product normally costs $15. I'll give you a code for $3, and then you break even on your cost. You do have to look at that, but yeah, I would do it that way. But I wouldn't go do 50 of them or 100 of them at a pop. I would just start doling them out onesie twosie over a period of time with your friends and get them to come in on that. So hopefully that'll help you some. And what Sai just said about pay-per-click, yeah, you might need. I don't know how many you've sold total, or how many units have you sold since you've had it on there?
I've sold about what 400.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you probably, I mean, you probably still need to be running pay-per-click, I think, Saj. And are you paused? Have you paused it and looked at your keywords and see which ones are winning?
Did you say you sold 400?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got 3 reviews.
3 reviews. Yeah.
That's quite low. You need to start contacting your customers. You could probably sign up for something like Feedbacks, what James has.
I signed up for Feedback 5, so those emails are going out on a daily basis. So hopefully, I should get some more reviews, and product reviews as well as the actual.
When did you sign up for Feedbacks 5? Feedback 5?
Feedbacks 5.
When did you sign up with them?
Oh, it was like 2 days ago.
Okay, so it's been recent. Well, I would have to. I'm biased. I like James Amazio's feedback service. So if you don't get satisfaction, you may check his out because he does have a lot of features that a lot of these other guys don't have. All right, so let's see. Feedbacks with a Z on the end of it. I'll post it. I'll post it in the room there. All right. What do we got over here? Baker Part. Is that your name? I can't tell what that is. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Jake. Can you hear me?
Oh, Steve Baker. How you doing, brother?
I tell all your friends. I knew you when I had hair. Okay.
Yeah, you did. This is one of my old buddies that we used to work together. I don't know. It's probably been 20. It's probably been 15 years since
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad to see you're still alive, man, and kicking.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So how the heck did you wind up being on this?
Yeah, I'm on your Facebook, so you mentioned it on the Facebook, so I just picked it up on Facebook, and I said, well, I'll see what Jake's up to these days. So sounds like you're doing really good, and I want to tell all your friends that you're a great guy, and you've been a great guy for many years. So whatever you say, I can only understand about 10% of what you guys are talking about, but whatever Jake says, you can believe it.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, Steve. Tell Doris I said hello. You're welcome to stay in here as long as you want.
Sure, I will. I'll hang out with you.
All right, good deal. That's a shock, man. So anyway, thanks, Steve.
You bet.
All right, we got Zach. Hey, brother, come on board and tell us what's going on in your world.
Hey, Jake, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Saj. How are you, Yusuf?
Hey, man.
Okay. Yeah. I've just, to be honest with me, I'm doing wholesale. I've been doing wholesale for about 7 years. I've got a retail store as well, so it's been quite hectic. But I mean, I'm just waiting on some designs. But I'm going to launch three products. Two of them are coming by air, and a bigger one is coming by sea. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And so, do you have any questions, or you just want to hang out with us, or?
Okay, no, I just thought I'd just come on and say hello to you guys and whatnot. So.
Now,
Zach, were you able to contact the freight forwarders, the one that I had PM'd you?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I just realized recently that you were part of the wholesale forums.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've been on there for about 10 years. So, like Darren from Woodland Global.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we've seen him. Have you ever been to the Spring Fair in Birmingham?
No.
No, you haven't. Okay, he normally comes down there because to be honest, I'd recommend you to, depending on what you want to do. But that is quite a big fair. Obviously, it's not the Canton Fair, but it is quite good. And Woodland Global, they come in there. They've got a stall there, so it's quite good. So I was quite aware of the freight forwarders you're mentioning.
Right. So they're good people. I think I've had some people who said that they've used them in past. Unfortunately, I couldn't use them because my supplier, like obviously the Chinese people have got even better rate, and it makes it easier when it's small item and your supplier, kind of ships it themselves, because then they have, like proper timings. The freight forwarders come and pick up at the time they want and stuff like that. So I never used them, but I knew one of my competitors, someone from actually our wholesale forum group, used to use them a lot. So that's why I thought that was the only name I could remember. I don't know if Lisa can actually understand or listen to me properly now, because I've just swapped my mic to the podcasting mic, so hopefully that should be okay.
She wants to know where you get your reviews.
Sorry?
She wants to know where you got your reviews. Do you use a review service?
I have never used any review service, because when I started, I didn't even knew that these kind of things exist. Actually, for my own product, I've never even used Amazon 1000 reviews, but all my friends who have recently launched their private label products, that's how I asked them to go through. If you guys listen to me, I just said that, I did an interview with Seller Dojo podcast. In that one, I actually talk about the same things what most of the people like Yusuf just now asked, like how you start getting your first initial reviews, even with, about the Facebook that Jake mentioned. I actually start contacting people on the Facebook group. I mean, that's what I advise, that rather than even running Facebook ads, because I come from a situation where I had no money, and Jake knows that. I started in a situation where I didn't even have sometimes money for my lunch. I used to have a digestive biscuit for my lunch for a couple of days. So when I talk about promoting products or anything like that, the first thing that clicks my mind is to try and find things where you don't have to pay anything. That's how I always start with. And then when you need, your kind of any additional service, then yes, go ahead and make use of these, blast services or free giveaway services and things like that. The easiest thing, using Facebook is, I think personally, I think I started using Facebook only a couple of months ago when I came across all these Facebook groups for Amazon. Before that, I never used it, so I don't have that many friends apart from the Amazon industry. But I think most of you guys are on Facebook, like for personal, sharing and sending pictures and videos, and all of you probably have at least 50 people on your Facebook. The best thing you could do it for free of cost is make a free page, type a small message of 5 lines saying this is what I'm kind of releasing my own gold-plated HDMI cable, and when it's available on Amazon, I'm happy to offer them like for £1. And if this is what you ask your friends and family. If you ask them to just post this message on their timeline, every person that is on your contact list has another 50 people on their Facebook friends list, and they would just sign up for that. In no time, for free, you will have at least like 200-300 people, and you haven't even spent money on your Facebook ads. Why do you need to get people? If you kind of fall short of people after you've done all this free stuff, then go out and make these sign up for this third-party service.
Yeah, if you have a quality item that people would actually like, if it's not junk, and you give it at a deep discount or free, I promise you, you can ask them, say, hey, when you go to work tomorrow, maybe you have a few friends at work that might be interested. It spreads like wildfire. I can say, hey, I got this Bluetooth speaker for my shower, and by the way, it works great. I actually did a video review on it, and it really does a good job. I'm sure I could go into my office tomorrow if I was in that situation and share it with two or three friends, and they'd be saying, hey, how can I get that cheap or for free? I'm talking to my wife about, she's got 16 ladies in her office, and every year she runs the office, and every year she has to she gets them a Christmas gift, and it takes a lot of money to when you talk about 16 different people. I said, this year you should be doing product reviews for Amazon and get your Christmas presents that way. And so, like if you go to top quality reviewers with Bridget Williams, you can do as few as I've seen people just do three items. She has over 1,000 people on her Facebook page, so you can dole those out. And I'm not sure if she still does this, but back when I interviewed her, she said she does the first deal with a seller for like free. She gives them a certain, and I don't know if she still does this. Don't hold me to it because she may have changed. But she's always looking for new products to put on her. Now keep in mind, she's posting on her Facebook page. So you got 1,000 people seeing it. You got people like me seeing it. So you may see other sellers that see this item And if your item is not another selfie stick or a garlic press or a HDMI cable or a silicone glove or a yoga mat, all that stuff that everybody comes in and tries to copy, well, then you may, you might have a situation where you're tipping off your competitors. But at the same time, I bet you could go to Bree and say, can you contact 5 people, 10 people to give us away without publishing on your Facebook group? She'd probably be willing to do that too. So but I believe in what Saj is saying is right. You can find enough people to review your product. I don't think that's an issue. You just got to hustle. Top quality reviewers, Leah is asking, doesn't it conflict with Amazon's TOS? No, it does not. So you're not paying top quality reviewers for reviews. You're paying top quality reviewers an amount of money. I don't know what she even charges. And then what she does is she organizes the codes. She goes out and says, okay, guys, I've got this Bluetooth speaker. We're going to be giving away, or we're going to give a discount code. It normally costs $39.95, and you're going to get it for $44.99 with a discount code in exchange for a review. And then she has all these people say, I'll do it, me. And then she has to go in, and they have to fill out a form that they're reviewing this product. She gives them the code. She organizes. Then they got to go buy it, and then they got to come back and prove that they bought it with their ID number, their order number. And then once they've received it and then they've reviewed it, then they got to come back and give the permalink to the review. She's managing all that. That's what the person's paying for, Leah, not for the actual review. Because those people that she gives a code to, they might decide not to give a review, or they may decide to give you a 1-star review. She don't have any control over that, so she has no control on that. But she can control whether she ever gives them another discount. So if they don't play ball and they just flag out and say, oh, I'm just too lazy, I'm not going to give the review, well, she's not going to give them any other discounts in the future. But you really can't do anything about that. But if she didn't buy it from you, or she may have bought it and didn't review it, you're never going to get 100% reviews that way anyway. If you're asking people to do it, some people are just lazy and slow, and they may not get around to doing it, and you just have to, chalk it up as that's just part of business. So, okay, let's see. Okay, Greg is saying, in Saj's episode 3 podcast, he says that BSR, that's the basic sales rank that Amazon uses to kind of give you a snapshot of where your item is ranked compared to other people in your category, or other items in your category. It's not as important as people tell you, but isn't Jungle Scout working on sales revenue based on BSR? You want to answer that, Saj?
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you have actually listened to the episodes after that. I actually kind of cleared out because some people were confused. What I was trying to say is, okay, first of all, let me just say that because some of the way you actually track your product, say for an example, Jungle Scout didn't even exist for UK platform at that time. And I initially started my podcast mainly for UK people because they didn't have that much data as other podcasts or resources that were available for .com sellers. So what I was trying to kind of say is BSR kind of for a number is fine, but say for an example, if you're using something like a tracker sheet or Jungle Scout and stuff like that, you look at BSRs only as a number, but what mainly you're looking out for is how many sales that particular kind of item or niche makes. Now, say for an example, if Jungle Scout was not there and you were kind of tracking out your items via the 999 method, so say Jungle Scout is not there, every product that you're trying to track, whether it's on .com or .co.uk, you go in, you track every day some of the products. So from say 800, next day it goes down to say 850, then it goes down to say 800. But sometimes the BSR might even get worse because others might be, the other products that you're not tracking are probably selling even more. So what I'm trying to say is that the number that comes into BSR is not important as long as you can track that how many sales that particular niche or product is making. That's more important. But yes, because Jungle Scout uses that as an kind of way to figure out how many sales it makes. At the end of the day, BSR is important for someone like Greg because he's kind of developing Jungle Scout for you guys. But when you, say for an example, when you go into Jungle Scout, do you kind of rely on BSR or you just look at the amount of sales and revenue that's been making? So that's the difference basically. People just mistook it that I don't care about BSR. The reason why I don't care about BSR is because I kind of track whether I'm using Jungle Scout or whether I'm using a manual tracking method. Irrespective of what the rankings are today and tomorrow, as long as I can see that that particular product sells 10, 15, or whatever strategy you're going after for. I mean, the way I say is like look out for the products that sell 15 on their first variation. As soon as I've verified or validated that that product makes 15 sales a day, that's it. I don't care whether the BSR moves from 100 to 500 or whether it goes down from 1,000 to 200. As long as it's making sell, that's what's important for me.
So basically, BSR is just a barometer of how that product is doing against other products. And really, when you look at the scheme of things, if you've got 1 million products listed under kitchen and bath, right, and you're looking at a product that you want to sell, let's say a garlic press, and garlic presses, you see a bunch of garlic presses, and there's 4 or 5 of them that are selling pretty good, but one of them's ranked 4,550, and one of them's ranked 6,122, and one of them's ranked 7,150, and one of them's ranked 9,316. As long as they're less than 10,000, like if they're in the top 10,000 sellers, you're like, wow, that's a lot. Surely there can't be that many that do well. Yeah, every one of those are selling a decent amount. Now, I don't know how many somebody that's ranked at 4,000 is selling per day versus somebody that's ranked at 6,000 is selling per day, but the difference can't be that much. It might be one guy selling 20 a day, another guy's selling 15 a day. But the point is, if they're in the top 10,000, if it's ranked at 70,000 or 127,000, they're probably not selling that many per day. So the BSR is just to be able to say, okay, yeah, this is at least something that people are buying. And then, like Saj is saying, the Jungle Scout application, the software that we both use, it figures out over a long period of time, like over a year, not just one day. So it's tracking how many sales that thing is doing, and it's probably using BSR to some extent, but it's also using other points of reference, data points. Jungle Scout tracks millions of data points to determine how many items is that thing selling per day, and it also tracks the price. So it connects the price to the number of items, so it can give an estimate of how much sales it's doing per month. And so with that, all of that working together, yeah, BSR is not that. I mean, here's what you could do. You could have a BSR where you're at 12,000, okay, and then all of a sudden you give away 100 products in one day, and your BSR spikes up to like you're in the top 500. You're ranked number 512. You're all excited, and then the next day it goes back down, and maybe it doesn't go down to 12,000. Maybe it goes down to 10,200 or whatever. It's because just that one day you got the limelight. You sold a bunch when other people weren't selling as much, and so Amazon said, "Hey, this guy sold 100 and nobody else sold as many. We're gonna rank his product higher today." And then tomorrow, you're not selling as many because you gave them away. You didn't have organic sales. What you're looking for is organic sales, where people are putting in garlic press. They see your listing comes up among many others, but they choose yours for some reason based on your image or your title or whatever, and they look at yours and your price, and they buy yours. And when you start getting organic sales, then you will continually to rank higher and stay at a more stable ranking. That's the only reason that BSR might matter to you, just to see, okay, how am I doing against myself? I'm ranking 4,000 today, and I was ranking 3,000 yesterday. What's going on? It's just an indicator of it's like a stock market. You're just looking at your price of your stock going up and down in relation to other products and services out there. So it's not that important, but it's just a gauge, and you don't need to hang everything you do on, hey, my BSR shot up to I'm in the top 200, unless you can sustain that BSR with the number of sales that it takes to stay at 200, which may be 25 a day. If you gave away 100 items, and so over 4 days, those 100 people redeemed it, and it looks like you're doing 25 a day, yeah, your sales are going to spike, and your BSR is going to go up, And then after you quit giving those 100 away, if you were only getting 2 sales a day, guess what? You're going to go back down. Maybe you won't go down as far, but you're going to go off the radar. So I hope that gives people an explanation on why BSR is really not necessarily everything you need to do to hang your hat on it. Greg has an interesting thing going on here. I have people reselling my free review products on my listing, review products to Amazon ARB. So basically, they're performing retail arbitrage by getting you're giving them a free product, and they're going to review it for you, and then they turn around and list it on your listing as a reseller, which is perfectly legal to do that. It's perfectly legal for them to turn around and list that product. But the question, Greg, is how many people are doing this to you? I mean, have you given away a bunch to a group that's working like a? Somebody's got some feedback there. If you can mute your mics there, guys, Steve and Zach. I think we got some feedback going on there. So the question is, Greg, how many actually have been doing that? I mean, surely it can't be more than 1 or 2. And we'll see what you say about that. But unless you gave a whole bunch away and maybe you picked an unscrupulous review service where you did that and they're all doing that to you. So let us know how many that are doing that. And then I'm going to go back to something Richard said earlier. Richard, you were saying when you're low on stock, raise the price so that you don't go out of stock. Saj, would you handle this one and talk about that theory?
Actually, it kind of depends, to be honest, because sometimes it could actually spoil your conversion rate. So if people start clicking on it and not buying it, then that kind of spoils your conversion rate onto the Amazon algorithm. So it all depends on your category, how crowded it is. Because if it's some category where there are not too many competitors making sales, then it's fine. Again, this brings out, I'll be very honest. I mean, when I started, there was no giveaways, there was no things like that. Every time, if I run out of stock, I usually kind of start ranking on the page 1 where I was, even if it's been like 10-15 days. And I think the reason being because most of my sales have been organic. Any kind of traffic or discounts that's happened on my items has happened because Amazon has kind of allowed me to run it as a Prime Day deal or a Lightning deal and things like that. So I can't really tell you 100% that could be the reason why my item stays there for most of the time. It doesn't happen for all of them, but I would say better to run out of stock and then just climb back, once you have in stock. Because if you raise your price, say for an example, if your like main image that you got for your item is quite attractive, and people start clicking it even though they don't want to buy it, and then what happens is the algorithm picks up, that people are clicking on your item, but that they're not buying your item, which means your conversion rate is really poor, and that can affect your rankings on the search results. But again, this is something you could try. That's why I'm not against like giving out these big giveaways and stuff like that, but I always think that if you want to do all those giveaways and stuff like that, then you should have your inventory and everything planned out. If you can't sustain the demand that you're gonna get after the spike of the giveaways and stuff like that, then there's no point. You would rather grow by doing 5-10 sales a day if you can't afford to have that many at one time, and then do a spike. Once again, rather than me going this particular launch thing, if you just listen to that Seller Dojo podcast episode that I did, it will make a little bit things clear how you should go about depending on how many you have in your stock. So say if you know that you only have 100 in stock, there's no point in giving out 50 because you know that 50 giveaways is gonna spike your sales and then you're gonna run out of stock. Do that kind of stuff only when you have your future products, or like you're not gonna kind of stock in line so that you don't run out of stock. If you are on limited budget like how I started, I know I'm never gonna be able to order more than say like 300 at a time or 500 at a time, and there's no point for me to giving spiking the sales and then trying to make 10-15 sales a day and reach a kind of situation where I haven't got anything to sell later on. I would then rather just rely on PPC, make 5 sales a day, less profit, but then organically I'm going from page 4 to page 3 to page 2. I'm going slowly up. Once I've made enough money, then go ahead and do it and spike. People just are sometimes thinking that they need to spike the sales and make those first 150 sales, and then keep doing those 10, 15 sales straight away when they go in. That's not really needed. I mean, you said you kind of waited, to come into Amazon business, say for like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of your career life. I don't know. I don't understand why is that such a big rush now suddenly that you should start making that 50 sales or 20 sales a day right from first day. I would rather, if I'm on a limited budget, I would rather start doing 5 sales a day, grow organically, and then once I've made enough money and I think I can spike, the algorithm, and then I've got enough stock at, at my back as well to kind of sustain the spike or higher search results, then you do the giveaways and kind of never run out of stock. I have never run out of stock initially, apart from my product too, because one of the material is like very scarce, so they can't get it. It's not that I don't order it on time, but they sometimes don't get it. That's why I keep running out of stock on one of my variations. But apart from that, I always I know that, say for an example, like when Prime Day deals was offered to me, they told me, do you want to put your entire catalog on the Prime Day? I said, no, are you guys crazy? I told my FBA manager, because he calls me and I said, no, I'm not putting my entire catalog. And what I did was, I actually initially asked them to put 5 of them, but unfortunately I had to have my stock, I think about 15 or 20 days before the Prime Day deal date, and I got late by 2-3 days. So in the end, I had to run only 2 of them on Prime Day. But I had about 16 variation of product 2 on that day, and I knew that people who click on the product 1 and 2, when they land on the actual product page, they're gonna buy some of the other variations because they look so cool, and they're gonna buy it, at a good price as well. Just because it's £5 expensive, it's not that they're not gonna buy if they like something. So that's another trick as well.
So how many variations can you have of an HDMI cable?
Oh, HDMI cable is product 1, so that has about 40 plus. Product 2 is something else.
Al was asking, is it customary for a buyer to pay additional 4% when using trade assurance?
No, that's the big, see, I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is like the biggest myth. Trade assurance is paid via your bank transfer. This is the reason why I created that episode. And Jake, when I started my podcast, I wanted to just like do episodes by episode and come out as many as possible. But then I thought, initially, because I have got less time, that's one of the fact as well. And then I thought, in the limited time I've got, I would try to bring out episodes on the topic that some of the stuff other people don't talk about. People don't talk about trade assurance because they have never used it. That's why people are going to say, okay, just stay with PayPal and stuff like that, because if person has never tried, then obviously they're not going to say. I mean, I didn't try trade assurance as well, but I went into it completely just to teach my student as well. And the way trade assurance works is you get 2 options. So when you put through your order through Alibaba's trade assurance, you got 2 ways. You could do a pre-inspection service, or you could do post-inspection. And the usual way, you can divide your payment, so you could do 30% upfront and 70% before the items is shipped. Now, when you're paid through that, whether you do pre-inspection or post-inspection, you're covered by Alibaba's trade assurance, just like how PayPal or escrow would cover. So if you didn't use any inspection services, then once you've received the good, you have 7 days to go back to Alibaba's platform and say the goods received were all okay and stuff like that. And then, even though that they have released the product, so that's the difference. Even though they have released the money that you paid, but they are still kind of covered. So if you go back to them and send them evidence that your product was damaged, they will take that money back from supplier. So that's how it works. And the other part, if you kind of signed up for pre-inspection services, you pay that usual whatever you have negotiated early on. So say if you negotiated that you're going to pay 30% up front, and then you're going to have a pre-inspection services, then after you're paid that 30%, Alibaba would release that 30% payment to them. And then once they have kind of done your done with the production, they will call up or they will alert you on your platform, and then your product inspector can go there, visit the premises, check the products, come back to you with the report. If you're happy with the report, you upload your trade assurance portal that everything is okay, I'm making another 70% payment. But even though when you use trade assurance, you can only use TT, that's your bank transfer. However, that particular bank account is monitored or kind of facilitated by Alibaba. So it's a separate account that your supplier has apart from what they usually have. So when you send your payment as well, you have to make sure you send to that. That way, Alibaba has control. So say for an example, if that you paid that 30%, the report of the inspection came out, the goods were faulty, and then your supplier is not responding. They only get 5 days to respond. If they don't respond on that trade assurance portal, then Alibaba refunds you that 30% plus the money that you spent on the inspection services as well. That's how strong it is. And I'm not saying, I mean, obviously because I've made quite a lot of money, so I kind of make bank transfers right from the first order, and I don't even use trade assurance. That's how confident I am. Sometimes you could say I'm like kind of overconfident, so I wouldn't advise you to do that. But if you're getting into this business long term, if you want to go into something like international trade, you got to start learning the steps, like you got to start making payments via bank transfer, and trade assurance helps you secure your bank transfer via TT as well. So that's one of the best things. Now, say for example, your supplier allows you to make payments, say like with 5% with your PayPal, escrow, and stuff like that. When you're making 500 pieces, 1,000 pieces an order, and stuff like that. Now, go forward a little bit. Like say you reach a situation where you start making orders 5,000 products, and that time, in each order, and that time the supplier says, with 5,000 kind of quantity, I'm not going to take PayPal, even though you're going to make 5% payment or whatever the situation is. Now, you then have to go at that particular situation or in situation, and then start using trade assurance or start making payments via bank transfer. So it's much better you learn the real trade kind of monetary transaction, the way people transact when you're small. Once you start doing 5,000, 10,000 pieces, and suddenly you have to then learn how to use trade assurance and things like that, it's going to be even more tough. You're going to be more scared at that time because then you're paying thousands and thousands. So at the moment, you can start using trade assurance. Anything if your order is about $1,000, so it's not much, and you will be covered. Worst case, say for an example, if something went wrong and trade assurance didn't kind of took your side, and Alibaba didn't take your side, and you lost some of the money and things like that. People have lost money via PayPal as well, because sometimes they haven't kind of taken side of the person who's importing the product, because some of the instances they said we don't cover private label products and things like that. So you have equal amount of risk. At least here you have got Alibaba who can help you, because they say, and they're investing a lot of time and money in this trade assurance kind of service, because they know they are a publicly listed company now and people are watching them.
Leah is asking, do you recommend pre-inspection or post for trade assurance?
I personally would say if you start using trade assurance, try and use pre-inspection in your first maybe order or two. Post-inspection, you don't have to do anything. You don't have an external person going there. Post-inspection is basically you receiving the goods, and then Alibaba gives you 7 days to go back on the order portal and say everything was okay or it wasn't okay. So you can use pre-inspection services for your first maybe 1 or 2 order. That way you're still covered. Usually you'll spend about $100, $150. So depending on how big your order is. If your order is only about say $1,000 or $1,100, then it's not really that effective. But then it's almost same, because you're already kind of paying 5% for your escrow and PayPal. So this is almost similar kind of expense that you're kind of making initially. So I would rather go with trade assurance and learn how real trade happens rather than using PayPal for for a long time.
Hey guys, I just want to let you know next week I'm doing a panel discussion, and we've got past guests that are going to come on. So Dave Daddy Gilmore will be there, and his wife. Will Chumlin will be back on. Let's see who else. Robert Weisberg said he'll probably be on. If I can talk Sage from just going on vacation totally. You say you're going out some outdoor you're going backpacking or something, or mountain climbing?
I don't have that much time, and I've got private label course going on, so I can't really go out. So I had to actually I told the class that I'm probably taking a kind of a weekend off, so they can still kind of practice the modules that they have gone through. But I'm just gonna go locally, but then go out for some outdoor.
Well, I just told him if he wants to rub elbows with all the players. We got Andy Slammons. He was one of my first interviews that I did early on. So I've reached out to a lot of them. Some of them can't make it, but we've got Andy Slammons, Dave Gilmore, Will Chumlin, maybe Robert Weisberg, Bridget Williams from Top Quality Reviewers will be on. So if you got questions about reviews and her service, that'll be a good time to ask some some new questions. So that's what we got going on here. So Mim says, got samples from multiple suppliers to do detailed Q&A or QA and market testing, and samples arrive in different days, weeks. Tell suppliers working with other. Oh, is your question, should you tell suppliers that you're working with other suppliers? I guess that would be kind of like, should you use that as leverage for pricing? What do you think, Saj?
I think it all depends, because I personally, don't really haggle too much on price, because every time I've seen someone else doing that, then the quality kind of gets down most of the time. And trust me, every time you try and haggle the prices, once you have already taken the prices and stuff like that, they will hardly go down a couple of pence here and there. I would rather keep them happy paying that, couple of pence or cents extra, and make sure that the quality is going to be same. I did speak about this in one of the episodes on the podcast, that in my email techniques, I can't remember which episode it was, that when I source my samples and stuff like that, and I email them for the prices of samples, I also get prices for. I ask them what's the price going to be for 500,000, 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 pieces, whatever quantity I know that I can go up to in next few months, so that then they cannot hike the price later on once you have liked the samples. But yeah, I mean, usually these guys know that you kind of test your samples, from other suppliers. So I wouldn't use it as a technique, but yeah, you can always tell them, if they're asking or kind of pushing you whether you're placing your order, you can tell them that you're giving out, samples to your friends or family or your existing customers, and if they come out okay with the quality, then you will go ahead with it, and then just wait and watch.
The leverage you may get is that you may be able to lower your MOQ by saying you're working with others. So whether instead of them having a lower quality, they can just lower the number that they're willing to sell you, and that might help you out, because then that conserves your cash. Okay, Kevin's got an interesting question. I found a product that has an ICN patent. I guess that's a Chinese patent. Is it right to assume I can sell this in the U.S.? I wonder, as the lines blur with Amazon International, if Amazon will halt the listing, even though it's technically legal to sell this in the States. I think. Yeah, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know if I can give you that. But I would say, if it has a patent, and then you go to another Chinese factory and say, hey, I've got this. I got this patented item right here. This is patented by Samsung. Can you make one exactly like it that I can sell in the United States because it's only patented in China? I don't think you'd be able to do that. I think you'd still be violating the patent. Now, if they're willing to sell you a bunch of them, the company that makes it has a patent, but they're willing to let you put your logo on it and private label, there's nothing wrong with that if they'll sell it to you. But you should be buying it probably from the company that you're getting that has the patent. Because if you take any product that has a patent and take it to a different company and have it manufactured, at that point you're violating the patent. I don't care where you're really selling it or that sort of thing. So I hope that helps you, Kevin. I got some feedback, so I don't know if that's you or not. Here's Lady K. This comes from the survey. By the way, I appreciate you guys when you register for the weekly webinar. If you just don't hit the submit button and leave, the thank you page has a 5-question survey. Can you mute your mic there, Saj? I think you're giving me some feedback.
Okay, mate.
There's a 5-question survey on the thank you page, and so if we're interviewing a guest, the first question will always be, do you have a question for our guest? But that has some other stuff in there too. So please submit your questions through there, because I always copy and paste them, and we always get to them. And so even if you can't be on the webinar for some reason, your question can get answered, and then you can watch it in the replay and get your question answered. And the more that we do that, the more robust our interaction is. Lady K asked how to combat negative reviews ethically, i.e. without giving away a ton of free product in exchange for favorable reviews like many people teach. I have a Feedback Genius, which is great for feedback. My feedback score is 100%, but I still find that most people will not bother to do a favorable review on Amazon, only if they're unsatisfied or they go through the trouble, or even though my follow-up emails ask that they contact me first and let me make it right before leaving a negative review. They don't. They go straight to leaving a negative review. First of all, Lady K, how many items have you sold total, and how many reviews do you have? If you can if you're in the room, let us know that. But that might be something to look at, because if you've made 100 sales total and you've got 10 reviews, that's about probably what you're going to get out of 100, because that's what most people are saying, and that's what the average review ratio is about 10%. So if somebody has 4,000 reviews, they've probably sold about 10 times that amount in the number of items that they have. So you're not going to beat those numbers. You might get 12%, you might get 13%, but you're not going to get 20, 25% review ratio. So you can't make people do it. One thing to do is ask for them to give you seller feedback and not ask for a product review. Because if the seller feedback and they come in and say, oh, your product stinks, I don't like it, it was poor quality, then you can get those kicked off, because that's not seller feedback, that's a product review. Seller feedback is, did you ship the product in time, did it come undamaged, was it the box in good condition, et cetera, et cetera. And so if you ask for a feedback review, people that may normally send a negative review think they're sending you a negative review, and then you can have that removed, because it's if they leave a product review in the feedback portion, then you just call Amazon and say, hey, they left a product review and feedback, and they'll remove it. And if it's negative, especially, you get it removed. Now, however, if it's a positive product review they left in feedback, then you can go back to them and say, hey, I really appreciate your review that you left, but I don't know if you realize it, but you left the product review in the feedback portion, and really that's to leave a product review, you really have to leave it over here and give them a link. Please just copy and paste what you just said. It was awesome, and as a small business person, I really rely on the feedback, and not very many people are willing to take the time like you did to leave a product review. Could you click on this link and go leave that product review and paste it over there for me? And now you've got a way to kind of call out the negative reviews. That's one way to do it. I'm not saying it's the only way or you should do that all the time, but the other thing is don't necessarily look at the negative reviews and look at it as, you're going to get a percentage of negative reviews over your career in Amazon. So what you really should be looking at is, okay, are they your canary in a coal mine? In a coal mine, and if you don't know what that means, and when coal miners are down underneath the ground, there's dangerous gases, poisonous gases that can build up. So back in the old days, before you had technology, they used canaries, because canaries, they put a canary in a cage over there, and as long as that canary was chirping away, they were okay. But if they looked up and noticed that canary hadn't been moving in a minute and that canary is dead, they've got a few minutes to get out of there before they die from poisonous gases, because the canary would die first. So these people can be your canary in a coal mine, where they're giving you a warning, hey, your product sucks. It's got a problem, and you need to fix it. And you could have made it right with them by refunding their money, but they won't let other people know that, hey, this thing breaks when you get it, or it wears out, or it doesn't last long, or whatever. Your job is to say, okay, if it's something I can fix, then I need to go back to the manufacturer and get it fixed. So then you can come back later and say, and answer that review. If they won't remove it, you go and answer the review and say, I really appreciate that this person pointed out that I had a flaw in my product. So after this product run, my next product run that I ordered from the factory, I had them change that plastic class to a metal class, and now it will not break. And I'm happy to say that we'll never have that issue again. That's how you got to deal with negative reviews. What do you think, Saj?
Unmute myself first, otherwise I'm going to keep talking. Right, so I think actually what Lady K asked was a little bit different actually in addition as well. So first of all, how do you combat negative reviews? So the best thing that you could do is, because most of the customers who actually go and look at the reviews, like obviously they look at first, the positive reviews, and before I guess they hit, the add to basket, they always read some of the kind of 1-star or 2-star reviews as well, just to make sure that it doesn't have something kind of that they didn't want and things like that. The best approach that you could do is, first of all, kind of write an normal email as if someone from customer service in your company is responding, saying that if you usually use this kind of service, because say for an example, my packaging has kind of a thank you message saying that, just like you said, that even though you write saying that if there was any problem, that please contact us. So you just write or formulate your email saying that this is why we kind of always put out a note in our with each order as well, that if you found any problem, that contact us in the first place, because we would like to make sure that you are a happy customer and things like that. Whatever way you want to actually formulate your email. Usually when some things like these happen, like whenever I have responded to the negative reviews, 30-40% of the people then actually email me, because I write at the end of the email that if you actually come across my response on your review, then please contact me through your order history. When you tell that, they usually would come back saying that, oh, I actually kind of emailed you, but maybe you didn't reply or whatever. I didn't knew that, I could email you, or whatever the reason they would give. And then either you offer a product, in exchange if it came out as damage, or whatever way you could actually kind of resolve the situation. You could at least save 20, I would say 15-20% negative reviews like that, because some people would read your response and they'll come back to you, and once you resolve their problem, they will take off the kind of negative reviews. But obviously not all of them respond to the negative reviews, but at least when you have professionally responded to the review left by the customer, then a new potential customer who's looking at the negative reviews knows that, okay, this could have been because most of the time, sometimes people leave these reviews because they probably didn't know how to use the product, or what sometimes it's not actually the fault of the product. Sometimes it could be a user fault, and some people would just leave it as a feedback because they don't know that they are leaving a product review. So new potential customers, if you have responded in a proper way, then they would kind of take that into consideration. The other bit I think you asked was let me see. Right, okay. The one thing I wanted to actually say, because I actually use a completely different technique. Now, I know that this technique, like asking for feedback first and then the review, is working for a lot of people, because that's what you guys have heard. I don't ask for feedback, because just like Amazon kind of sends you a reminder for reviews, for the reviews they don't send you every time. They kind of sometimes after you've purchased like say 5 or 6 items, suddenly you'll get an email from Amazon saying, would you like to review your recent purchases? So the review requests usually go out after a while, but feedback requests goes in quite regularly. I personally have never asked my customers to leave a feedback. I email them asking if everything arrived okay and things like that. So in a way, it is a feedback asking email, but I'm not specifically asking them to actually leave me a feedback. I'm just asking if everything is okay, kind of just having like a conversation. And when they come back and say everything was okay, I then tell them leave a review. But say if you had an automated stuff as well, I know you could leave, you could remove your feedbacks, but what happens is, depending on your product, sometimes your products are not that engaging. So let me give you an example. If I was selling a HDMI cable, and say if I did something what Ryan Moran did, like I love yoga Facebook page, how many people do you think would be excited enough to sign my page, or sign up on my page on Facebook where I would say I love HDMI cable? Probably not even 1% of how many people signed up. Same goes with reviews.
Probably a stalker if it was.
That's it. And sometimes what happens is, usually people on Amazon are not kind of used to leaving feedback, or say for reviews, just like eBay. eBay people leave feedbacks because they know that the seller gives them a feedback rating, so it helps them to increase their score, which they can use when they want to sell their used item or whatever the case may be. So they don't have kind of a reason to leave a review and a feedback on Amazon. Now sometimes if your item is not that engaging, if you have already asked for feedback, the percentage of people then who would leave reviews is going to go even shorter, because people don't like to kind of leave reviews and stuff like that. I mean, 50-60% people don't even know. That's why I in my email actually tell them. So this is the to make it easier for you. I mean, I know now people are using automated stuff like feedbacks or whatever the responder service you want to use. But I kind of write in my email that this is the link, even when I used to do manually, that this is the link. Scroll down halfway down to the page, you'll see a tab which says write a customer review. Click on that, and then you can click on the stars and write your comment as well. But I tested that because my first product was not that engaging. If I asked them to leave feedback and then I asked them to leave reviews, it was drying up. I wasn't getting that many reviews. So what I did then was I scrapped the first bit. I didn't ask them for feedback. I just started asking them for reviews because I thought some of them are going to leave feedback even when you ask reviews because they think that's what review is. Or some of them are going to leave when Amazon asks them to leave, feedback. So I asked my customers to leave review, but I have an email.
But you only do that. You're only doing that after they've told you didn't have any issues. Is that right?
So one email goes out to them, just like say if you would have a feedback email, but that's not specifically asking them to actually go ahead and leave a seller feedback. I'm just kind of asking, Jake, how was the webinar? So I'm not saying go ahead and rate at the end of the webinar, rate me whatever the feedback is. So they know that I'm not asking for feedback. I'm just like generally emailing them. Like today I had a customer who came back saying, oh, I noticed you emailed me like 6 days ago. I was on vacation, so sorry. I'm guessing that you're waiting for a review on your product, which I'm going to leave in a day or two. So they didn't think that I was straight away asking them for feedback. They think I'm just emailing them just to ask if everything was okay.
Well, I had an interesting happening. I only had like 15 items on my first product that I sent in, but one of them I had a refund, and then the guy left a 1-star review on it. And here's what happened: he sent me a message saying, "Hey, look, I got the product, but it was missing some hardware, and can you send it to me? And I need to get it pretty quick because we're about to move, and also the instructions weren't with it." So evidently, I goofed up there. I don't know, but I thought I double checked every box. But bottom line is he needed something, and I didn't have it. So I immediately, because Amazon will penalize you if you don't respond within 24 hours. So I immediately responded to them the same day, and I left a lengthy response because I answered all his questions. I said, I want to make you happy, but the first question I asked him, I said, look, I have the hardware. I can mail it to you. I can send it to you right now, but what address do you want me to send it to? Do you want me to send it to your old address that you are now, but you said you're moving? Maybe you want me to send it to your new address? I didn't know. I wanted to hear back from him. And I thought that he would respond that day. He didn't respond that day. So the next day I sent another message saying, hey, I just want to let you know that I responded to you. I want to make sure that you didn't miss it. Where do you want me to send this? And he didn't respond to me. So guess what he did? He left a 1-star negative review that said, I don't know if the seller's on vacation or away from his computer, but I had a problem. I was missing hardware. He didn't respond to me. So, blah, 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 I asked for a refund. So I called Amazon and said, well, you can see where I left 2 messages. I said, is there a problem with your system? And they said, no, we see that your messages did go through, and he didn't respond, so therefore we're going to remove the negative review because you did, in fact, do what you were supposed to do. And in fact, I still wanted to contact him. If he had a phone number, I would have called the guy because I don't want him to think that his negative review went away because of something I did anyway. I want him to know that, hey, I did respond. I tried to fix your problem. And, of course, after a couple of days, I'm assuming that he just gave up on it. But he probably had, I don't know what the message looks like. He probably had a message. Maybe it came in and he just thought it was spam, or maybe it went to his junk folder and he doesn't even know it's there. I've sent him a third message saying, hey, I just contacted Amazon and they said that my messages went through. I'm sure that message is in the same place as the other 2 are.
Yeah, it does happen. It's happened with me actually last week as well. Customer said that the box arrived damaged, the item was okay, but it was a gift. So even though it was kind of like dispatched from Amazon, they just decided to contact me straight away. So they must have clicked on the the seller's name rather than going through the order history. And then I responded, and they kept on saying that I'm not responding, and they opened A to Z kind of thing as well. Maybe, and the thing is, they have bought 2 different products. So the first time they bought was when I was merchant fulfilling it. The second one that they bought was dispatched by Amazon, but the person actually went on to the first order and opened the A to Z claim. Now I started responding initially when they were replying, and in the A to Z email it says, I emailed twice, but I haven't received any response. And then I went back and said that, I've responded, and then they realized it was going into their work email. So this is a lot of stuff happens. Sometimes it goes into their spam folder. Sometimes people don't know, which email they usually use to contact.
Yeah.
There's another thing which has happened is customers sometimes order and then they come back to you saying they haven't. The first thing when customer says they haven't received my product, my response is, can you confirm that this is the correct address? And at least 40% of the time they have selected the wrong address which they had on their file. So things like that can happen. So, but yeah, I mean, this small thing is kind of like part and parcel of Amazon business. You have to like be ready for these kind of stuff.
All right.
But Amazon are quite good about that. Sorry, Jake, carry on.
Go ahead. No, you have. Yeah, go ahead. I was going to change the subject. But yeah, if you got something to say, go for it.
Okay. No, I was just saying Amazon are quite good. If you talk to them, I mean, I've talked to them over the phone. They are quite good at, like you said, like Sad's had that sort of experience. I've had a similar experience where I was merchant fulfilling a product, and it was a color variation, and I personally packed the wrong color. So when I got the complaint in saying, obviously the wrong color, I said to the customer, why didn't you keep it? I'm sorry, why didn't you keep it? And what you can do is, if you still want the item you've ordered, just order it again. She left me a negative negative rating, saying, oh, I wanted the item, but the seller just refunded me instead. So anyway, Amazon obviously did just remove that because that was clear and cut case. So I mean, what I mean to say is they are quite good about that if you talk to them on the phone.
You could have probably said, if you want the correct color, let me give you a discount code for free purchase, and you can order the second one. You can keep the first one. That's another way to solve that issue, I guess. Telex is asking, anyone using third-party fulfillment centers, prep services, that sort of thing. Anybody doing that in the room? Have you ever used anything like that, Saj?
No, but I always kind of recommend what I've heard. So if you want something in the US, then I believe Ellen Basinger does it. If you are in the US and you want to have such similar service for UK, then it's Greg, who's the admin of FBA UK for Facebook group. He has a prep company now, so these are the only two I'm kind of aware of. If someone wants to use, but I haven't tried any one of those.
Hey, Kevin is confirming your theory. Jake, that worked against me once. After Amazon removed it from feedback, the user saw it was removed, then got notified. They get notified, and then they left an actual product review on the product page. Yikes! Can't remove that now. So I don't like the technique for filtering reviews as top on a podcast, not your podcast, Saj.
I know.
I can totally agree with you on that. I don't have a problem with that. That's just that was, again, it sounds like a way to do it, but hey, I guess every method has its pros and cons.
Right, and I'll give you one tip, Kevin, for that, which I've actually kind of learned after a long time, because I know that happens when you receive kind of a negative feedback and you get it removed, like if it's kind of like a review and you ask the Seller Central to remove it, usually there are some customers who are really kind of pissed off and they will actually go then and kind of leave you a bad review. The best way to do that is when I receive a product review on a feedback, I know I can get it removed, but what I do usually is I wait for like about 10-15 days. Once 10-15 days have gone by, and then you ask Seller Central to remove it because it's a product kind of feedback, they'll remove it. After so many days have gone, customer is not that keen or angry to still somehow come out and leave that as a review. They will let it go most of the time. So they'll receive probably an alert from Amazon saying we have removed this feedback that you placed because it was kind of a product review. But if you do that instantly on the same day, that that experience or whatever the problem they had is fresh in their mind, and some of them will haunt you and come back on the same day to leave you another version of that feedback, or probably they'll go ahead and leave you a review. So the best thing is, whenever there is a product feedback left on your seller feedback, don't get it removed by Seller Central on the same day, because that particular day the customer is angry, that thing is still fresh in their mind. Just wait for that 10-15 days, but just remember that there was a negative feedback that you can get it removed. Remove it after 10-15 days. 99% of the customer, 99% of the time, customer will not bother to go back and leave you another feedback in a different way, or go back and leave you a review. They just forget about it and they move on. We can't hear you.
Sage advice from Saj. Okay, check this out. This is a good question. How do you deal with anti-competitive behavior? Competitor leaving unjust one-star reviews with no or BS reason, or maybe voting stuff down or getting their friends to vote stuff down. I'm sure I've heard that out there. It's nasty.
One thing I would like to say is, first thing is, because when I started selling, I mean, they were like big competitors, right? But they saw probably just like I monitor some of their sales and reviews or whatever happening with them. They probably, if they're a smaller company like me, then they obviously monitor me as a competitor as well. Sometimes I have seen, yes, some people you can't avoid, they would do these kind of things, and all you could do is if the review is more sort of a product feedback. I recently got removed by Seller Central. It took a long time because it's a completely different department. It's the catalog department who removes it. But say if they left it as a review, then obviously you have less chances. But the thing is, I have seen that some of these competitors would get into these kind of foul practices when they kind of see that you're using kind of fake reviews on your product as well, just to rank against them. But when you're kind of gradually growing, like your feedback and review score is gradually going, and they see that you probably might be selling and getting those reviews, I see less people getting into that kind of practices. But say, for an example, if your competitor who's been selling 20, 30 units a day, and they have like a review score of 100, they saw that you recently just launched your item, and suddenly next day you got 80 reviews, then they might, that might kind of encourage them, because they have probably spent months and months or probably a year to get those reviews, and then I'll suddenly see that you probably in a day or two just got 70, 80 reviews, which are not even sometimes verified. It might just kind of ignite something in their mind, and they might do these kind of things. Again, we cannot say that it always happens, but I've seen that when you're legitimately building your kind of review feedback, some of your competitors might not go that kind of route. But if they see that you're scaling up your reviews, with fake reviews, and it's going to affect them a lot, then they might be more kind of do these kind of things intentionally. But again, it all depends.
It's anecdotal, but I've heard that a lot of this happens in the vitamins and supplement market, because it's such a highly competitive market that it's it's a dog eat dog world. And the higher, it may be that you need to look at your product choice. If you're going after something that's super competitive that other people are making a lot of money on, then you might be asking for that. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying maybe you'd be better finding something that's not quite as competitive. Greg is asking, wait a minute, I'm going to go back over here because Al asked us early on. Al, anybody use an aftership package tracker? I don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is, Saj? Aftership. Al, if you got experience with us, plug it in, or if you want to come on do you want to come on and actually speak about this, since you might probably know something about it?
Yeah, and probably we can learn something.
Okay, so I just clicked on there. If you want to come into the room, if you can't come in the room, let us know. Here's an interesting situation. Don says, after FBA sales of $2,000 in the last 30 days, I guess that might be $2,000 in dollars, I guess, things have abruptly stopped, like dead in the water. Receipts of $58 last pay period. Any clue at all why that might be? I read on a message board that Amazon spanks you for mistakes in sending them product. Any truth to that? I don't know what mistakes that you made. Did you make a mistake? Is it possible that you forgot to label your product correctly or something, and they've got your product stranded somewhere? I don't know.
No, usually when things like that happen, someone from the FBA team would call you and alert you. First of all, if you made a small mistake with the FBA labeling, or you sent out extra quantities or less quantities and things like that, you'll usually see an alert on your whenever you prepare your shipment. But if it's something like a completely wrong product has been sent out or mislabeled, they usually call you. But I don't think so. That's what you're trying to probably say, Don. I think probably trying to say that the sales spiked for some days and then suddenly stop. It all depends. If people are doing giveaways for a long time, and then suddenly the BSR starts kind of, or their sales starts going down because there's no algorithm spikes anymore. Usually I wouldn't be surprised if some of the products haven't, are not selling at all, because people are out now, like especially in UK as well. The weather has been terrible. I mean, according to me, it's hardly been like proper summer now. So people are getting chance now. They're taking out their kids, going out for holidays. They're not really keen to shop too much. And the other reason why these kind of months kind of have dip in sales as well, because people have already spent on their holidays and vacations. They already spent too much on a sudden.
I mean, August is like the worst month for retail, isn't it?
Yeah, it is worse, but I think this time it went even worse for some of the products, because a lot of people kind of who don't shop in these last 2 months, they shopped around a lot on Prime Day for no reason, just because the offers were out. So that kind of affects some of the sellers as well. Now I was talking to Jason, who probably is still live here. He does RA and some of the other wholesale products as well, and he's kind of getting better sales at the moment, whereas my sales have gone down 50%. But I'm quite used to it because I know that he's going to spike back in next month or so. So I always look out for the yearly average rather than a particular month. But it's quite surprising if you have sold like 2,000 products in 1 month and suddenly it's gone down. You should probably check your listings as well. Make sure that your listing is not suppressed for some reason, like if your images are not correct and things like that. Maybe that could be the reason, and you haven't really noticed on your inventory.
Is Jason one of your students?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to invite him to come on in the room if he's got a mic and a.
Even to come down on mic and webcam, even when he's on the class.
He won't do it. Okay, come on in, Jason. Let me just ask you a few general questions, because he's probably new. Is he new to the game?
Oh no, he's doing RA and wholesale products.
Okay, he's been around a little bit. Yeah, okay. Richard says, I think capturing customer email addresses is more valuable to promote future product launches. You can do this by running Facebook ads to the sales page with a free or low cost offer for your product. That's a double-edged sword. You must be listening to some of the same podcasts. Because here's the thing, Richard, you could do that. You could run a Facebook ad and get people to go straight to your listing. I'm not sure that's what you mean, but it says that's what it looks like.
No, as in he's
you
saying
can
that
do this by running a Facebook ad to a sales page with a free. Oh yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, if you were saying run it straight to your listing, I would have balked at that and said, yeah, you're probably going to get low conversion rates. But if you're running it to a landing page or a sales page that's not your listing, sure, you could do that. That's not a bad idea if you want to do it that way. I know there's a guy he's a ASM guy, and he literally has thousands of people who are on his private list that he uses for his launches. But between launches, when he doesn't always have a product to launch, he wants to feed them. So he literally will promote your product to his list for free. If you can get a hold of this guy, and if you got a decent product, now your product has to be something that he's willing to promote to his people. But if you want to do a discount or a free thing, he won't charge anything. So instead of doing Zonblast, he's got his own Zonblast private list, and he's just built it up over the years. So kind of what you're talking about, Richard, is you can build up that list of people that that you could give away some product to. That'd be a good idea. Not bad. I would just watch how much you spend. So, okay, Dana left this in the survey. How to break into wholesale? Need to kick the business up a notch from simply picking. So right now she's probably just picking here and there, doing RA, and she's wanting to figure out how she can get a deal with a wholesaler. Saj, you've got experience with this, right?
I haven't really done that much wholesale. Usually what I did was, because I was doing like retail app and online app, I would usually go into stores and kind of build relationship, with the managers and stuff like that. Now, say for example, I just like collected some of the items that I bought last week from the Amazon lending, funds. And they have literally now told me what the deals are going to be on some of the products which are going to be live next week. So
what are you talking about?
Retail app. When you go into like these retail stores, like Like say if you were in US, Walmart.
Oh, okay. You're saying because you got such a wad of money, they're saying like, hey, if you just hang out for another week, we're going to be putting item X over here on super sale. You can buy them all if you want.
Things like that. Yeah. So once you got really, I mean, they can't really come out and tell a lot because obviously, you know, it's against company policies, but they give you a heads up. If that was the question was, but anything about wholesale, I haven't really done much of wholesale. So
now, Dana, if you're in the room right now, if you go back and watch, who was it? My interview with Will Chernlin. Will, him and his brother, they excelled at wholesale, running wholesale deals. So what they did is they would go to a company, and let's just say Black and Decker, and they'd find a particular drill that they think they could sell, and they would go in and say, now this is probably not what you're looking for here, but they'd go in and say, what price will you give us if we buy 10,000 drills from you? In other words, they're going to spend $500,000 with a company, and they go in and lock in a price that's so low it's even lower than what other. Did I just lose my? Okay, that side went offline. They would go in and get the lowest price, period. So if anybody else out there ever bought that drill and then tried to list it, they could beat their price every time. And so they own that product. And what they would do is they wouldn't just get the Black and Decker drill. They would go get the Porter cable drill, and they'd go get the whatever other type of brand names and strike a deal with all of them. So anytime anybody bought a drill on Amazon, they were buying it through them because they were always the lowest priced wholesalers. And then they would go get them a private label version of it. So if they didn't buy the private label version of it, you're going to buy, they didn't care which one you bought because you're going to buy it from them. Now, I'm not saying you can do that every time, but you can go to wholesalers and ask them if you can be their exclusive Amazon representative. And the way you pitch this is like, you don't want 50 different people selling your product on Amazon because they're all going to be competing on price, and they're going to drive your price down to the bottom. If you'll just deal with me exclusively, I'll put that product up there, and I'll keep the price high, and then you'll only deal with one seller, me. You'll only have to deal with one order, not 50 orders. You don't have to deal with shipping 50 different products and onesie twosie quantity. I'll buy more quantity from you, and I will hold the reputation of your company up, and I'll be another outlet for you to sell. And if they say, well, I don't know what you mean by exclusive, so well, you have do you have dealers that have exclusive areas where they? Yeah, we have distribution. We have. Can you mute your mic there, Saj? Yeah, we have distributors that have their own little territories. Okay, so we'll just think of this as another territory. It's just the online territory. Oh, okay, I get that. I understand that. And so that might be a way for you to go to small manufacturers or wholesalers who are not online right now, especially if they don't know how to do Amazon. They may be happy to do that. But on the yin and yang thing of it is, if they see you getting really successful at it, eventually they might decide, well, we're going to figure this thing out, and we don't want to give away that much profit, and they may not renew the contract, but you need to probably get some kind of agreement to do that. Okay. Vic was wanting to know, Saj, you mentioned a prep company in the U.S. and UK. Can you repeat that? You could not hear you clearly. I think you were mentioning Alan Basinger has a prep service. And if that's who you're talking about, again,
I've given him the link.
Oh, did you? Okay, good deal. So, all right. So let's take that one off the board. Greg saying, when looking for a new product to sell on Amazon, how many reviews on the first page products would you consider too competitive? I'm thinking once you get to the point where you got somebody, if you got more than one seller that has, 750 to 1,000 reviews or more, like you got one that's got 850 and another that's got 2,000, you still may be able to compete. But if you get 3 or more, you're probably got a competitive product. And then, I don't know. That's why Jungle Scout would come in handy, because if you got one seller that has 3,000 reviews and everybody else has less than 100, well, you might be able to take the second spot and do real well, but you got to know if there's enough sales that can be spread out to that number 2 spot. What do you say about that, Saj?
Yeah, again, it totally depends. I think it's not really impossible for to compete against someone like, say, for example, my second product. I saw that there were like two different versions of that product. So people could buy either the cheaper version or like kind of like an expensive or like a premium version into that particular product category. Now I went into the premium as usual I do, and I saw that one of the big brand was about 800, I think 700-800 reviews at that time. There were other couple of small ones who had about 200, 300, and I thought I could slip in. Now at the moment I'm on about 230 odd in about 4 months time. And I still need to ask reviews for last probably 2 weeks. I haven't asked due to the time lag. I couldn't really ask reviews in last because I haven't still automated because of some of the issue that I had with the security feature of one of the responder service. So, but then usually if you find a very competitive item, then it's not that you can't like go into those categories if the other people who come up higher on the search results are like 500-600 or 800 reviews, but that would mean that you would need to work a lot. If you go into like say a category when you search for a particular keyword and the top results on the first page are roughly about between 300 to 500, I would say about even like about 600 reviews, some of them, and then the other sellers are kind of like less than 100 or 200, then you got a good chance. But if you got someone like say the first one that turns up on the search result with your keyword has 1,000 plus, and there are other few which are 1,000 plus, then you don't have that much chance because it's going to be a very competitive category that you'll need to work really hard. But then there is a reason. I mean, I look at it both ways. My product one, I had a similar situation, but then I still went into it because I thought the reason why there are so many players with 1,000 plus reviews or 500 plus reviews, because there is a demand. Just like HDMI cable, how many listings we find with 5,000 10,000 reviews on Amazon.com, because there was a demand when it started. So it's only thing that if you go into a category where someone has reviews like say 1,000 and there are loads of other sellers who have 500 plus or 600 plus reviews, then that means that there is a lot of demand. Getting orders are not going to be a problem, but to compete and kind of become a leader in that particular category is is going to be quite difficult. So I would say anything over 500-600, then you have to work really hard, and if you want to put in that much effort, that's up to you. Otherwise, go into something where most of the ones that come up on the first page are below 300. Maybe one or two could be about 400, 500, 600 maybe, but the others have to be about 100, 200. Otherwise it's going to be quite hard to take over them. You're on mute, Jake. You're on mute.
Thank you, sir. It usually dings and says, "Hey, you're muted." Sarah left us on the sign up survey. She says, "I have just 1 month under my belt and I wouldn't know where to start. My mind is in overload. Thanks for having the videos." I just wanted to encourage you, Sarah, that yes, it's like drinking from a fire hose when you come on the scene, and especially if you're in these Facebook groups. You got all this questions being asked and things about shipping and taxes and freight forwarders and packaging and samples, et cetera, et cetera. It is daunting. If you go to my Facebook group, which is Alibaba to Amazon sourcing solved. Maybe we've changed the name, it's something else. But anyway, if you go to that Facebook group and go into the search bar at the top of the page, you can search this group and put in Evernote or how to drink from a fire hose. There is a tip on how you can use Evernote, which is a free program you can download to your phone and your desktop. And I still use it for this. If I'm in a Facebook group and I see a really hot question or thread, I think, wow, that's intriguing. That makes sense. I need to know that information. I don't need to know it now, but I know sooner or later I'm going to be to that point. I'm going to need that. I'll go in and clip the actual question and then all the answers that are in the thread, because a lot of times there's multiple it just keeps going. Somebody answers something and somebody else brings up another point, and then I'll just capture that as an Evernote note, and I created my own notebook for that, which is Amazon, and then I tag it with keywords like international shipping, freight forwarding, FOB, freight on board shipping, etc. So if I ever need to know anything about shipping, I can go back to Evernote and go to my Amazon notebook and put in shipping, and there's going to be a bunch of notes that pop up, and I can go back through there and find that information I'm looking for. It's a great way to curate the information that you accumulate and that might be over your head right now, but you know that it's going to be relevant to you down the road. So check that out. Evernote's a good tool to do that with. So hang in there, Sarah. It's going to get sooner or later. I know it's like you're being waterboarded right now, but later on it'll be like you're chugging beers. So keep hanging there.
Good thing is that you have given it a start, so that's what matters.
Exactly. Vic, Zach, and Saj, have you had to deal with hijacker, and what is your best approach to remove them from your PL product listing? Can you explain what a hijacker is and what he's talking about?
Yeah, that means basically someone starts selling under your listing. That's what it's called, hijacking the listing. The first thing, the best approach is sometimes some of the sellers do that. In fact, some of my customers did that by mistake because they must have bought more than one when it was on the offer or whatever, and then they realized they don't need it, so they kind of then listed under the same listing that I had. Then the first thing I do politely is actually, when you click on their sellers and seller's name, then you can just email them saying that kind of this is like a trademark, because my product is trademark, so I can tell them it's trademark. But even if your product is not trademark, you can just kind of tell them that this is like kind of your own brand.
No, wait a minute, Saj. I'm gonna have to scrap it up here with you. Is that not just a form of online arbitrage? If I bought your product and I got to my house, I said, well, I don't really need this. I thought I wanted it, but I don't. Why can't I list that? Is it considered used at that point?
You could do that, but then you would have to have your own listing. This particular listing is owned by you, and in a way, you have a condition.
No, I disagree with that. Amazon owns that listing. You just put it up there.
Amazon doesn't own it. If it's your EN owned by you, then Amazon cannot themselves list on that as well.
No, wait a minute. I have to disagree again. Think about this. Let's say Black & Decker has their drill up there on Amazon, and then you go into Target and they've got them on sale at the end of the summer, and you buy that Black & Decker drill for $3 and it sells for $40 online. I can send in and list it on that listing.
That's right. The reason being because that listing is probably already initiated by kind of either Amazon or someone else, but this particular
it was initiated by Black & Decker. Let's just say they're the ones that put it up there.
So
they still don't own the listing itself. They just own that. They have the product, and now I can arbitrage that and put it on their listing.
You could, but it's up to them whether they can allow. I'll give you one example. I recently, this was around Christmas time, I bought those Skull Candy headphones around that time, and I sold most of them, and then I had one of the returns which came back, which had 2 units. So somehow they kind of stayed, and then I relisted them in about, I think, early March, and then one of the distributors of Skull Candy headphones actually emailed me saying that you're not basically you're not kind of part of our like our distributor chain, and you're not even a customer, so you can't list it now. We are allowing you to take your listing off. If you don't take the listing off, then obviously we'll have to contact Amazon. The good thing was that they didn't report me as kind of selling fake or whatever. So it's up to the person.
I think that's a slippery slope, because if that's the case, every trademark company could come on and say, that's my product. You can't sell that. You're not my distribution channel. Yeah, I got it at Target at a discount. I don't care. You're not my official distributor, and I don't want you selling. They can't do that.
But that's how it works.
I think a real hijacking is when you say you're selling a silicone glove, and I know that I can get that exact same silicone glove about 100 different places. There's no difference, and I can make it look like yours. And maybe I even have your logo put on it, and then I get a bunch of them printed up, created, and list them. That would be a true hijacking when they're using.
Yeah, that's kind of true hijacking. Yeah, but then you can still shop. For an example, I'm not allowed now to. There was one of the US Nikon camera that I sold on Amazon. This was in 2013 or something, and then, because I had a US version, it was quite cheap compared to the UK version, because obviously the UK, and this was like an expensive DSLR. I think it was about 700 plus. And then the company who kind of monitors these actually kind of email Amazon saying that I'm not an UK authorized distributor because of the possible price. And they asked me that you could sell it. Amazon came back to me saying you can sell it on the existing listing as long as you can show that this product was bought in UK. Then we are okay. And if the distributor says okay, but otherwise you're not allowed to sell, you know, like overseas Nikon products, even though it's the same listing. Similar situations happen now. What you said is exactly right. A true hijack would be something what you explained. But then the worst part of Amazon is that sometimes you don't get a chance to explain because they just come back to you that you're not allowed. And then rather than trying to fight, you know, on these like 1 or 2 retail items, it's much better to not kind of, you know, get into those things. I just normally email them saying, and they normally email you that if you want to sell it, then get, you know, permission from the distributor. The same thing is because I write on my packaging that, you know, this particular product is not to be sold and we do not authorize anyone else to sell it. Now, there are some people who buy my products, you know, for gifts or whatever reason, and they stick it on eBay. That's fine. But then say, for an example, if they list my own, say if I discounted my product to 99 pence tomorrow, and then someone bought 10 of them and then listed back, maybe once they received it, they didn't stock it and, you know, kind of keep it in the same condition that I keep. Now, when customers buy, they think it's my product, even though someone else is selling, because they don't know. And if they didn't professionally pack it, or they sent it, you know, they must have even opened the package and repacked it, and that's not like in a professional condition. And someone who buys my product is going to think that's how, you know, Sarge's brand kind of products are, you know, come into the packaging. They might not come back to my brand, even though that's not my fault. So I have a right, then I can stop someone else selling on my listing. If they want, they can prepare, you know, create their own listing and sell. That's fine. Even I can stop doing, you know, I can stop them doing that as well in a way. But I normally don't bother when I see that someone is selling, you know, like 1 or 2 units. But most of the time, as you said, the hijacking happens when they have completely listed a different product on your listing. The best thing is to first email them. Usually they'll take, I mean, the way I email them is saying, you know, whatever the reason why they couldn't sell because it's the EN or, you know, is owned by me, is trademarked by me. The second thing I write them is Amazon doesn't allow these kind of practices. And if you don't take off your listing or your products under my listing, then I'm going to kind of report you to Amazon. And this could leave you, this could kind of result in a ban to your seller account as well. Usually 90% of the time people take off their listing once they receive this email. If they don't, then I contact them, you know, and normally when such a thing happens, the best thing is call the Seller Central, don't email them, because when you call them up, they'll take immediate action and they'll kind of contact the catalog team and they'll take it off. If you email them, then it takes a little bit of time. Best thing is, because the worst thing that can happen is someone else can buy an inferior product on your listing and then they think that was part of your kind of brand as well,
Quality,
which is more damaging. So the best thing is to then raise a complaint. And then when you open a case with Seller Central, you normally, depending on what option you select, you get 3 options. Do you want to email Seller Central or do you want to call them up? When you click call, it will ask you to put down your phone number so that it connects straight away with the advisor. When you do that, they will like talk to you. They'll find out what the problem is. And then they have a way that somehow they queue up your query to a catalog team, because Seller Central cannot remove someone else who's listed under your listing. Is the catalog team who has to do it. So the best thing is to phone them up, because once you phone them up, you know, it usually gets, you know, removed in a few hours if the seller didn't remove it.
Now, if it comes down to it's someone has received your product because they got a free product review giveaway and then they turn around and list it back on your listing, you probably ought to just let it go. I mean, hopefully they'll give you a good review, number one. And number two, if they sold it, yeah, you're kind of like getting extra mileage from the same product. I mean, if they sell a product on your listing, then that's hopefully it's an organic sale. It's just another sale that goes in your analytics. So yeah, you know, they can't be like, I don't know if it's you, Vic, or somebody else that said, yeah, I had like 5 of them. So 5 of them is not really something to get. And if it's persistent, yeah, you probably should do something about it. But if it's just a handful, probably I'll let it go. You may stir up the hornet's nest.
I mean, some of them actually buy and then resell on eBay. Sometimes I allow that. I mean, I don't stop people selling my product on eBay. I've seen sometimes they've sold, you know, maybe they bought it when I promoted it cheaper and stuff like that. But as I said, I wouldn't want someone else to ship my product in a condition which I wouldn't have done. Now it
under
depends.
your name, under
Yeah,
your
that's right.
name, as if it's coming from you.
One bad customer review or kind of experience, because just like someone was asking us about that when someone has received a bad product, they'll definitely go out most of the time and talk about it, and when they have received a good product, they don't really care that much or bother that much to go out and leave a review. But it all depends. I mean, you have to sometimes kind of when someone, this hasn't really happened quite a few times, because my products show with the packaging, so I'm sure that no one wants to go ahead and make packaging just like mine just to sell under my listing, so that doesn't happen. But even when someone has listed, the first thing I do is I click on their seller name, and then I see, have they done the same thing for other competitors or other products as well? Because if they're doing the same thing to other people, then you know that that's a notorious guy and you need to take that on.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
So-
it. Because you have people that probably just don't even realize that what they're doing.
Sometimes they don't realize, and it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just a mom and pop person that bought it and they're trying to sell. We've got Al had asked about AfterShip, and I didn't see him come back in the room and say anything. But I'm gonna share my screen. I just went over to AfterShip, and let's see. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. Where's my AfterShip? Okay, let me see if I can get it going now. Huh? Where'd it go? Okay, here it is. So AfterShip looks like it's just an all-in-one track and notify. Supports 292 carriers worldwide. Pop in your tracking number and track a package. Track all shipments in one place. Daily analytics, latest delivery status. I don't know why this would be needed unless you've got like multi-channel and tons of different and you sell tons and tons and tons of product. But it might be worth checking into. Delivery notifications. I don't know how on Amazon you would get those delivery notifications. Maybe you can put in the tracking number and somehow they can maybe they can plug into the API of UPS or FedEx or something. I don't know. I haven't even studied this, so I just know that I was just looking at this to see what it was about. It's not free, I don't think, but you can probably do some of it for free. They probably got a freemium service. The pricing is like 10 cents per shipment down to one. I guess when you get up to over 2,000 shipments, it gets pretty cheap. But you have to add that into your cost. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but it looks like another service that can delegate some of the stuff that you might want to do. But do you need any shipping tracking going on out of Amazon, Saj? I don't know that it's relevant.
Not really.
Okay. Well, let's see, guys. Unless you have more questions, we're going to probably. Vic just popped something else in here. What are the different departments in Seller Central? I've heard of general support, catalog team, feed specialist team. What are the roles of each department? When should I ask for that department, and what other departments are there so I can get to speak to a specialist?
Okay, so when you call up, if for any kind of issue, when you call up Seller Central, if it's something like a very generic issue, then they have kind of control over it. Like say for an example, like if someone has left a product review on feedback, then they can remove it and things like that. If it's not something that they can change, then they will tell you that they need to kind of forward this to the relevant team. So if it's something related to listing, they will tell you that they're going to contact kind of catalog team and things like that. So they will tell you whom they're going to forward it. I mean, you don't have to like kind of know, but they will tell you why they can't actually resolve it over the phone, because they are not authorized to, or they don't know how to. So then you will see that when you go into your case log, you will see instead of like completed, or it would say transferred, which means that your case has been transferred to a relevant team, and then someone from that particular team will pick up your issue and come back to you.
How many? And he was asking how many different teams are there? Are there any teams that you would feel like you would probably need to
I think
know
it's
about?
mainly catalog team, seller support team. I mean, I've got my FBA manager now, so then I've got now a lending Amazon lending kind of team that I know, but obviously everyone doesn't need access to these kind of people unless they come back to you. I've got somebody like from global team who kind of listed my products on Amazon.com. So you will have, if they find anything that they can help your business with, and if they find your business is good enough to be promoted on different platforms that they have, and relevant teams would come back to you somehow.
Yeah, I can't wait till the platinum team contacts me.
Yeah, I hope so. For the platinum keywords.
Yeah, platinum. I'm assuming that if you're a platinum team, you get those platinum keywords. It's like an extra 50 keywords or something, or 50 characters or something.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you're on the platinum level, you have to be invited for that. I believe that's where they could come to you and say, "Hey, we want you to do a product video." Because when I first got involved in that, I thought, well, I'll just make videos. Why aren't people making videos for their product instead of images? That would be a no-brainer. When I found out, well, there's some are doing it, I'm like, well, the rest of these people are stupid. They're not doing it. And I found out, no, you can't just do it. You have to be a platinum seller. And platinum sellers are like Samsung and Sony and Black & Decker and big name brands, I guess.
Selling, yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So I think that wraps it up. I don't see any more questions. Our attendance is dwindling here. We're going over a little bit over 2 hours. I hope this was successful for you guys, that we did this Q&A ad hoc open mic. And now that you know that you can come into the room, if it's appropriate and you have a question that might take some back and forth, where we could say, well, wait a minute, how many items have you sold, and what's the price of your item, and how many reviews you have, and that kind of thing. Might be easier just pop in the room. So as long as you use the Gmail address to log into, we can give you the link to get in here. Saj, I really appreciate you staying up, brother. I guess it's about 2 o'clock in the morning over there. I mean, 4 o'clock in the morning. What is it?
Yeah, 10:04 now.
Is it getting light outside yet?
No, not today.
Okay, so you guys have like year-round sun, but it's always blacked out by clouds. So anyway, thanks for coming on and being my co-host. You know a ton of stuff. That's why I had him in the room, because I knew there would be questions I couldn't answer. And I'm behind you on the curve on that, but I'm learning stuff every day myself, getting this front row seat to all these great sellers. Next week, we've got Andy Slammons, we've got Dave Gilmore, we've got Will Chernlin. If you just take those three and add up their total sales, it's probably, I don't know, probably 15 million. And you're doing pretty good. How much is your sales, Saj, per year?
Last 2014, I did 1.2 million. This year, I'm hoping I'll cross more than that, because I had done, I think, about 600 last month up to. So it's going to definitely cross £1 million this time. So I can say, rather than just $1 million, it could be, because the way I'm actually shaping my business now is like the revenue can go down, but the profits are going to go up. That's how I'm scaling up. So that's
kind of what Will was talking about. He said once he gets to $1 million in sales per year, he's not going to try to grow it to 2 million. He said it takes more effort to do that than it would be just to lean out his operation and maybe instead of making 200,000 in profit, make 250 or 300,000 in profit on the same $1 million in sales, and have a life. Because otherwise, if you're trying to grow it to 2 million, you got to put a lot of your money back into the business to get to that next level. So eventually you got to stop and smell the roses and let the profits catch up, so that you're not always putting your money back in trying to expand and build your inventory to get from 20 sales a day to 50 sales a day or whatever it may be. So anyway, good stuff. Jake, what is that? What is your Facebook group? All right, let me pop over here. Let's see. This one is, I've got a couple. This one right here is just the, this is the Facebook group where you just get notified of upcoming webinars, okay? And then the other one, I'm an admin on it. Me and another buddy started it a while back. Let me find it here. And he actually owns it. I'm just one of the admin on it. But this is where you'll find the Evernote video, and it's Alibaba to Amazon. That's it. And then there's one other called How to Find a product in 1 hour flat. I really wouldn't recommend you join that just because I don't post anything in there anymore. It was tied to Amazon Suite 4, and it was supposed to be just for people who bought that product, and we were going to talk about the product itself and how to use it. But everybody under the sun says, oh, I want to learn how to get a product in 1 hour flat, so they join it, and it's really not relevant unless they buy the product. So I don't want to fool with that. All right, guys. Hey, we're going to wrap it up. Saj, again, thanks for doing that. Hey, guys, please go back to the Facebook group if you saw one where I put the invite for this webinar. Like, go to the Alibaba to Amazon and look for the open mic ad hoc. You are the featured guest, and post down there that, hey, this was a great webinar, because people can go back and watch the replay. Even if they haven't registered yet, they can click on that link and register tonight and get the replay link, and they'll get a lot of good information. But they need to hear some feedback from you guys to say, hey, it was worth my time. I stayed till the end. And 35 of you guys did, which I'm really proud of you, hanging in for 2 hours. Of course, you'll get an automatic replay link in your email. Spread the word. The more people we have on here, the better guest I can get, and the bigger guest I can get. And can't get bigger than Saj, but
I'm not that big yet.
But he's definitely. I really love the interview with you, man. You had some really key points to make. You need to go back and watch his interview. And for those of you who do not have the past, you want to get the links to the past webinars. Let me put this. Shoot me an email and just say, hey, can you send me the archived, old episodes, and I'll be glad to send you a reply to it. And in my signature, there's like the last 15 episodes, so you'll get more than you'll have more. You won't have enough time to watch them all. It's like 2 hours of pop. That's 30 hours worth of videos right there. Okay, guys. Hey, Saj, talk to you later, brother. Have fun on your little holiday. Thanks, guys, for coming in. We'll talk to you on the next one.
All right, see you later.